Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, stop this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. Everybody in this context refers to us and our cats. You are free to feel however you want about Rand. He's a fictional character. Please don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
We have also reached the part of the season where I want Emily to punch me in the shoulders every single day to just sort of realign them. And she won't.
Yeah, for some reason, I'm not okay with this plan.
For some reason, she's adverse to hitting me.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. Morality who?
Yeah. Will you punch me in the shoulders?
I mean, he probably would if he could. If he had
fists, he would be hitting
He'd be
me
punching
right
us all the time.
Okay.
Give me food!
Okay.
Ed's power would increase exponentially if he had fists.
Oh man, you'd
terrifying.
be unstoppable with opposable thumbs. We'd never get you out of the garage.
Rocky 7 over here. How many Rocky movies are there?
I've never seen a single Rocky movie.
Okay. This is Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Jushaw.
I'm Sally Gidger.
And this here book is Knife of Dreams.
Also, if you can hear that outrageously loud purring, that's Ed.
Yeah, he's like a little lawnmower.
We are here with Knife of Dreams, book 11 in the Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, season 10, and hit podcast Everybody Hates Rand.
I don't like this picture. I know it's of Grady or Nield because of the black coat, but it's not hot enough. Okay.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
It does not capture the raw sex appeal of the unionized Ashaman. He also looks like a major creep behind this curtain.
Yeah, I'd say Grady because he doesn't have his fancy mustaches, but then again, it's not like Darrell K pays attention to
who
book
the
descriptions.
fuck is this? That Gaul?
I think it's Gaul.
He looks like an old man.
Darrell K. Sweet continues to have a real inability to figure out human proportions, particularly in the arm zone.
Yeah.
Arms are...
I didn't even notice Perrin's arms.
Arms are quite short.
And
Perrin's head is about the size of, like... I can't even contain it.
Perrin looks like Chuck Norris on the cover.
He does, really. He does.
Book.
Gaul is also breaking the fourth wall to stare at us.
He's like, please free
really
me.
Fucking creepy.
I'm assuming this is Berlaine.
It's Galena.
Oh, it's Galena?
Yeah, you can just see her fancy red sash thing that she has to wear.
That makes sense.
Because in the prologue, Galena
That's right.
gets in with the enemy, and I guess she's wearing white.
I didn't even notice.
But she has a fucking huge rack, also characteristic of Darrell K. Sweet.
Oh,
who is just really wasted in these covers. He should have been drawing for Marvel in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Curtains. Why do they have curtains?
Inside a tent?
Yeah, to indicate they're in a tent, but that's the world's tallest tent.
Yeah.
It's like 2 of Gaul. Which is
Gaul's
quite
like
tall.
9 feet tall or whatever.
Yeah, Gaul is so... Okay. Moving onward. Ever onward. This book's epigraph
Nailed it.
is: the sweetness of victory and the bitterness of defeat are alike a knife of dreams. No clue what that means.
Which means nothing.
It's literally just like some words slapped together.
Like...
Knife of Dreams doesn't make any... Like, that's not like a phrase, you know? No
Yeah.
one's ever like, you know what? In my actually, I do have dreams that feature knives.
The same. I got stabbed in my dreams last night.
I do the stabbing.
Oh, nice. This is why we're so compatible.
I'm resisting my urges when Sally asks me to
Punch me in the shoulders.
I only have dreams where I'm wielding a knife in self-defense, and it's always very upsetting that I have to stab someone.
Yeah, that is very upsetting.
With it.
But, like, what would knife... Like, the knife is made of dreams? Does that mean it's nothing?
Yeah. And
like, I spent so many years of my life analyzing poetry to death in English classes, and I just feel like I don't even have anything to work with.
Yeah, there's no clues in this metaphor. I feel like Robert Jordan just dropped a shit ton of acid.
I was like, it's like a
knife of dreams.
The bitterness of defeat.
The sweetness of victory and the bitterness of defeat. Okay, you got me. This will be a book about warfare in some way.
Yeah, totally.
But victory, defeat, got it. Are alike? Okay, there are similar things about victory and defeat, I suppose. The knife of dreams. What's that?
Yeah, I also, like...
It feels so much like he's trying to say something really profound, but had a stroke midway through.
I feel like we've had this conversation before, like, in one of the early books. The problem with these references to prophecies and other books that are written
this
inside...
is from Fog and Steel by some dude named Maddox Commodrin.
I mean, Fog and Steel is a sick title. Good job, Mag.
But, like, we don't know anything about Fog and Steel and Maddox Commodrin. For all we know, it's like a bodice ripper romance novel.
Seriously. The problem is that they are presented to us as if we have the appropriate paratext, or as if I could open Fog and Steel and know what this means. You know, that's how they're presented to us, but we don't have access to those. So what is supposed to be world building just leaves me confused and frustrated.
Yeah, we've said this 10 times now since we skipped Path of Packers. But Robert Jordan, you can't give me the title of the book in an epigraph just to justify the title of the book.
Yeah.
The epigraph also has to mean something.
Yeah, and it's like...
not connecting the dots.
There are also other... I don't know. If the title really mattered to you so much, like, weave it into the text itself. Rand is reading Fog and Steel, the bodice-ripping novel, with some surprisingly profound things to say about warfare.
Surprisingly, who knows? I feel like romance novelists probably have more astute things to say about humanity than
You're right. You're
Robert
so right.
Jordan of all people.
I apologize to all bodice-ripping writers. I don't say bodice-ripping in any sort of... I mean that very fondly.
Yeah.
And
I fucking love the
I think
idea
it's very
of bodice
impressive.
ripping.
Yeah. Like, also, if you're strong enough to rip a bodice...
the strength it takes.
Yeah.
The boobs.
The strength it takes, the boobs it takes.
Well, just to, like, fill the bodice, you know?
Oh, yeah, totally.
And then to be free when the bodice is off. That's something I think about a lot.
It's very nice. Okay, anyway, we open with Galad.
Yeah, this book isn't about my sexual fantasies. It's about Galad. A different Robert Jordan's sexual fantasy.
Yeah, Robert Jordan's sexual fantasy. And then we get to a 2-year-old, which...
is also our sexual fantasy. Yeah, we're sort of vacillating wildly between, because, like, I'd fuck Pevera, but not Saroth.
No, you're right. We kind of, because it's, like, Galad, the 2-year-old, Suroth, Pevera, Galena, and then Egg in the prologue.
There's Galena, Alviarin, and then Egg, and I would neither fuck Galena nor Alviarin.
Yeah, so we're mostly alternating.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay.
I'd, like, fuck Galad if, like, we were on an island.
On an island? I feel like...
and I was really bored.
Okay. Those are Emily's parameters. I'm just, like, bored. I feel like Galad would just need to get rid of some of his hang-ups about a lot of things in order for that to be
I don't think Galad
enjoyable.
Would be good at sex. I know we've probably said this before, but I just think he's too attractive.
He's too attractive. He's never had to try.
Yeah.
He's also just...
I also don't believe he's ever had sex, so...
no, that would be immoral.
Yeah, he'd have to...
He'd have to get married
he
first.
He wears a CTR ring, so... That's, like, in Mormon culture, a purity ring. Just so you know.
God, I haven't seen one of those in...
Yeah, they kind of gone out of fashion.
They used to be that very intense green color.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. It might have been symbolic of something, but I don't know of what. Okay, here we are. We're doing the first 4 points of view. The first one is Galad, as he, accompanied by 3 white cloaks. The first one is Galad, who, as you'll recall, is a white cloak, and he has not been in the narrative for a few books. Quite a few books, actually, I think. I'm not sure we've seen him since book 5.
Yeah, I think you're right.
When Nynaeve and Elaine crossed paths with him when they were sort of fleeing from Terabon to Salidar. And we had the whole incident where he and Massima sort of combined efforts completely destroyed a village, which is fun. A great memory for all involved. But we know Galad's just been with the White Cloaks, and so we've mostly been hearing about him via Morgause, who is herself hearing about him. So reports have been second and third hand. And you have to appreciate the fact that Robert Jordan was just like, yeah, Galad doesn't have anything to do, so I will not keep him in the narrative.
Revolutionary.
It's Robert Jordan, so you would totally expect him to just be sort of checking in with Galad every 5 minutes the way he does with other characters that we don't need to hear from.
Yeah.
I would have expected Galad, like, us to see the scene where Galad finds out about Morgause, but we don't. He just tells us about it in retrospect, which was maybe Robert Jordan's first best writing decision.
Should make him a trophy.
You did a good writing job. It only took you 11 books to get there.
Hey, we've all got to practice.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
You're right. Most people practice and don't publish their first attempts, but Robert Jordan just really
I
had the
should
hookup.
pull up the novel I wrote in middle school and be like, I think the public should see this.
Well, marry a publisher and maybe you'll do it. Nepotism? Robert Jordan?
No.
Never. So Galad is riding up to this, like, base camp of the White Cloaks, and he just gives us... We also haven't checked in with any of the other White Cloaks, which, again, is a breath of fresh air. And happily enough, oddly, we can just figure out what's going on with them by Galad telling us. He tells us that the White Cloaks have indeed been allying with the Shanshin, per Balwer's reports to Perrin. This is a reduced number of the White Cloaks, since there was a big battle between the White Cloaks and the Shanshin when they were invading this part of the country. But now they're on the Shanshin side, and there's still sort of an ongoing power play between Valda, who's the Lord Commander now, and Asunwa, who is the main questioner guy. Mr. Spanish Inquisition. And Galad rides up accompanied by a guy named Trom. I always want to call him Tron, you know, like Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Who seems to be Galad's, like, commanding officer.
Yeah.
He has a higher rank than Galad anyway. And oddly enough, Galad is also with young Bornhald Jr., Dane Bornhald, who is struggling with alcoholism, and has no other character traits.
Yeah.
And Bayer, the worst man you know, who insists unironically in this chapter that, like, I've done some terrible things, but I would never rape a woman. It's such a wild,
I know.
That's where you draw the line, dude?
I know, it's so bizarre, because Robert Jordan really is presenting, like, the worst men you know in this scenario.
Yeah.
It's like, I know we make that joke a lot of time, but these are, like, religious extremists who routinely hunt, kill, and torture women and other people.
Yeah, just whoever they
just kind of whoever they want. We've actively seen Bayer and young Bornhald both do, like, atrocious things on the battlefield, or just, like,
two prisoners
on the side of the road.
Just in a ditch somewhere.
And Robert Jordan is like, but I need you to know that this is where they draw the line. It's like obviously it's a bad thing to commit rape.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that it isn't.
But Robert Jordan is presenting such a, like, odd scale of crimes. Yeah. He's like, okay, it's like everyone knows the worst crime there is murder, then it's rape, and then just, you know, then there's a line, and then it's atrocities against humanity.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, those are fine. And also, is like, are you trying to, like, redeem them in this situation and be like, don't worry, they've done some bad things, but they would never rape somebody?
It's
like,
such a bizarre...
That does not make them good people.
Like, I just don't believe Bayer would care.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, Morgause went to the White Tower.
Yeah.
If Bayer cared, something I believe he might do, it would be because he doesn't think people should, like, dirty themselves by sleeping with Aes Sedai, you know?
Yeah.
It would be more like a purity thing than anything.
Totally.
So it's just like Robert Jordan fundamentally not understanding his own characters.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, a great way to start the 11th book in the series.
Yeah, it's also just like Valda as a person in power with, like, religious authority who is a rapist himself makes much more sense than characters who we've seen commit war crimes being like, no, that's where they draw the line. You know, there's just like some sort of logical fallacy going on there. And, like, maybe that's me just being a little too unfair. But like you said, it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
No, I think Robert Jordan has a vested interest in the project of continually insisting that people can do really bad things because they're part of really bad systems, but they're still good people.
Yeah.
Sort of a Confederate general type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, we should honor Robert E. Lee because he was, like, a good guy, a gentleman. You know, it's not his fault he was born in the South, owning a plantation, and fought in the Civil War, blah, 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 blah.
On the wrong side.
Yeah. So, just like the usual. Anyway, they all ride up as Valda and his crew are about to leave to go on some campaign. Oh, they're about to go to a meeting with the Shanshin. And Trom's like, yeah, sorry to delay you, but I have a guy who wants to do a trial by combat. And Valda's like, okay. And yeah, let's do it. And Trom's like, okay, Galad, step up and make your accusation.
Yeah.
And Galad's like, okay, I accuse you of assaulting my mom and also murdering her.
Mm-hmm.
Galad, like, Gawain believes Morgause is dead, although the timelines there are different.
And the responses are
Yeah, it's pretty
different.
Interesting. And long story short, Valda gets kind of cornered into agreeing to this, and they do their trial by combat. We are told that Valda is like a sword master, and he's very good, so of course we have to build him up, you know, in order to give Galad an actual challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Galad wins, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. to Valda, except not, because he's a gross piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he's dead, basically the questioners leave and all the other White Cloaks just, like, throw their lot in with Galad.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of just like, yeah, we love watching a dude kill another dude. That's really sexy. And he's super...
And he's, like, so hot.
And he's, like, hot. So what are we supposed to do? Not follow him?
Yeah, that's...
Not elect him president?
Yeah, that simply doesn't work for me. It also has very, like, werewolf pack mentality. Like, you've killed the alpha, so you're the alpha now. There's nothing I can do.
I'm the alpha now.
They're just like, yeah, this is Glad. He's our hot president, and so we go.
But it's like a trial by combat already. There's not a whole lot of logic here.
Yeah.
And, like, Robert Jordan clearly needs to get Galad in charge of the White Cloaks. I would have believed that Galad just, like, worked his way up in the ranks pretty quickly because he's such a goody two-shoes, and that's what the White Cloaks like, but whatever. Now Galad's in charge, and Galad's whole platform is that he wants to fight on the right side in the last battle, which he's like, that means we're gonna be fighting along Aes Sedai, so fucking deal with it, get on board or get lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not want to be allied with the Shanshin, which is a bold stance, obviously, for the White Cloaks to once again be taking the moral high ground.
Yeah.
But, like, at least someone is.
Yeah.
It's pretty pathetic that it's Galad, the leader of the White Cloaks, and not Perrin Ibarra or Matt Cathon.
Yeah.
So, just sort of humiliating for everyone involved.
I agree.
There is sort of the usual ring of sexism here.
Mm-hmm.
Galad, you know, we're doing this patriarchal thing of defending a woman's honor. That's already kind of bad enough, but it's sort of emphasized by the fact that Galad is mourning Morgause when he gets there. He gets really angry when Valda says some gross thing about her, and then he kills Valda, and then it's like no emotions about Morgause. I don't think he even mentions her after that.
Yeah.
It's not like he's like, okay, mother, you can rest in peace now, or whatever, because I know you would have wanted me to kill your rapist / murderer. he's just sort of like, well, on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's done.
And
Check.
it's like, I don't doubt you, Galad, that, like, you loved Morgause, you know, and that she was your family and important to you. But, like, the way you're behaving is so unhinged right now. Like,
Yeah, I think it's also a very, like, masculine portrayal of grief and vengeance. This idea that once you complete a task, the feeling is done.
yeah, it's why John Wick is a great series of films.
Yes.
Because the trial does not end once you have killed the person you deemed
Yeah.
responsible. It's a compounding,
Yeah.
like, cycle of violence and grief.
Yes, absolutely.
That's how it works. But no, we're just really simplifying it right here. Woman gets raped regardless of her feelings on the matter and how she's doing. And notably, Morgause is still alive. No one has bothered to figure that out yet. None of her living children.
Yeah.
Which I guess is all of them. Regardless of that, what matters is that Galad did what he decided was the correct course of action, and now it's done, and we can move on.
Yeah. Yes, to everything you said. I also wanted to do, like, a quick ask to you, who is more familiar with Arthurian legend, because so much of, like, Galad is very much occupying a quote-unquote literal white knight in this
Yeah, and Galad is
scenario.
like has the same. He's Galahad, who is the guy who gets the Holy Grail, actually, or sometimes it's Percival, but sometimes it's Galahad, basically because he's a big virgin.
I mean,
That's it.
good for him.
Morgause's namesake is more frequently this sort of like she's sometimes conflated with Morgana, who's this evil witch. Or she's Arthur's sister, or his mom, or something like that. But she doesn't really, I don't know, I don't remember. There's a very weird family tree there, much like Rand and Elaine and stuff. But I don't know if any, like, trials by combat or things like that.
I was just curious.
A big part of Arthurian legend is, like, the subject of women's honor. You know, there's Guinevere's whole affair with Lancelot, but I don't recall if... you know, it depends on the source, and it's sort of taken as a matter of course. Like, in some myths, Arthur's mom is literally raped by his dad as sort of just like a par for the course conquest type of thing.
Right.
So I don't know. I do think it sort of lends itself to Galad's ongoing knight chivalry mythological stereotype. You're right. Very much white knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for the context.
We then move on to Iturald, the hottie.
Beloved!
He's like hiding in a tree or something. I don't know what he's doing. He's like looking through a telescope. Who's just watching as like this town gets attacked. Or rather, like there's a little town in Terrebonne next to a Shanshin camp, a big Shanshin camp, which is mostly Terrebonner soldiers themselves who have been conscripted, but there's a few Shanshin people in charge and at least one Demon. And some Dragonsworn Terrebonners, like, approach clumsily to draw them out of their camp, you know, like, make up battle lines.
Right.
And then Iturald's guys just fucking snipe them from the tree line or whatever. Yeah. It's a very, you know, sick little scene. We get very little from Iturald, you know, just these little snippets throughout these last few books, and it's fun to just see him, like, he decided on a course of action, which was that he was going to fucking wreck the Shanshin's entire day.
Yeah.
And he's doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just really nice to watch that happen.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it plays into this just, like, a very satisfying thing of seeing one single character in the Wheel of Time series follow through on a task.
Iturald and Galad
Yeah.
are somehow the moral epicenters of this.
He's like, okay, I didn't have that on my bingo card at the beginning of the Eye of the World.
Whatever.
It's also very satisfying to watch him do, like, a good job of it. So much of what we see against the Shanshin, unless you are Randall Thor creating Human Meat Grinder 2.0,
Yeah.
it's all of us just getting our ass kicked by the Shanshin, you know? So a 2-year-old being like...
What, like it's hard?
Yeah, how about we just, like, sprinkle a little guerrilla warfare across Terabon and fuck you?
He's like, I'll sneak into Terabon using their very easily replicated uniforms. It's literally just paint on armor.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
I'll just sneak.
Yeah.
And, I'll just kill you from a distance.
I'm just gonna destroy all your supply lines.
Targeting your Demon first, and just bam, that's it. Goodbye.
Booyah.
Exactly. He's just
And you're just like, here I
What?
am in
Like,
a
it's
tree.
hard.
What, like it's hard with his little velvet beauty
I know,
mark?
with his little, just short king energy.
Exactly. Short king of my heart.
Bashir's like, we had this horrific campaign against the Shanshin, and he two-year-old's like, oh, you mean you lost it?
Oh, that's really embarrassing, Deborah.
It's humiliating for you. I found it incredibly easy to beat their asses.
Yeah, and a 2-year-old notes that he's got little bands of like 200 to 300 people all across Terabon doing very similar sort of raids.
Yeah, and we get to hear about that in the next point of view. Sarath, who is lying in bed in the palace of Abu Dar, thinking about how Tuon is missing and how it's gonna totally fuck her up. She'll probably get executed for it if she can't find Tuon or if Tuon's dead. And she just, like, gives us her logic about this, and it's just, like, it's all wrong, you know?
I know.
It's, like, sort of embarrassingly all wrong, but granted, like, I don't know. She's like, and some demon escaped, which would definitely require Soldam, and I'm like, do you guys think only Soldam can take their collars off?
Yeah.
Anyone can do that.
Yeah. Matt figured it out in like 3 seconds flat.
Like, literally. It's just super easy to do. So, how is that, you know, your go-to?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, she's just, like, listing off the reasons she's in for it, and we're just like, wrong.
Yeah.
When, her door opens, and Leandrin, who we also haven't seen in 6 books or so, sneaks in. She has been basically shafted, I guess, from Mogadien to Semiraj. I mean, I know Semiraj isn't, like, literally in charge of her here. It's just, like, you know, spheres of power. And it's kind of funny to be like, Mogadien, like, I can't handle this bitch anymore. You take her. We last saw Leandrin getting punished by Mogadien by getting wrapped in this shield that basically means she'll never be able to channel again. And she was sold into slavery in Shanshin, so as usual, the Forsaken are just really holding the line.
Yeah, what a bunch of fun people.
Anyway, Leandrin's just there to tell Surath that a general wants to talk to her, but it's a great opportunity for her to grovel and be humiliated, and Surath to be sadistic and mean, like all evil ladies in the Wheel of Time. So just sort of our usual dynamic there. Mm-hmm. But Surath goes out to meet this general who's just got, like, people running around scurrying, and she's like, what's the deal? And he's like, yeah, we have a big problem over in Terabon, which is that, like, on the same day, like, a ton of our supply chains just got fucked.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? And he was like, yeah, I'm, like, hearing rumors about this 2-year-old guy, but really it's just a total mess over there. Oh, also the White Cloaks have deserted.
By the way.
Except for Asunwa and his little band of misfits.
Yeah.
And Surath is like, okay, well, I don't care about the White Cloaks, they're just deserters. And he's like, 7,000 deserters? Okay. And she's like, and just, like, send more people to Terabon, and get me a 2-year-old's head on a platter.
Yeah.
And this fucking general dude, bless his heart, is just like, yeah, okay.
Sure.
Can't
really say no.
Yeah, okay. He comes pretty close to saying no, which is pretty funny. If he'd just been like, no, we can't do that.
That's
not
not
like, all right.
really how war works.
Yeah, what is Surath gonna do? Execute him? I don't really feel like she could
Yeah.
at this point. Anyway, Surat's all pissed about having, not being able to stomp around and throw a tantrum the way she wanted to. So she goes back to her room and is immediately assailed by Semiraj.
With the most bonkers news you've ever heard in your entire life.
Semiraj is like, how would you like to be the Empress? And Surat is like, I can't be the, like...
How would I like to be Barbie on the moon?
Even thinking about that is ludicrous.
Yeah.
And Semiraj is like, well, the Empress is dead, so, like, you could. And Surat is like, if the Empress is dead, that means, like, her whole family is out there. It's gonna be some real Game of Thrones shit. Not to mention Tuon, who may or may not be alive over here, and I'm just gonna be executed horribly. And Surat's like, my bad, I did not explain fully. Everyone is dead. The entire Shamshin, like, imperial family is dead, and now the entire continent is in shambles. And I'm like, God, it was that easy.
Yeah, why though? Also is my question.
She's like, let the Lord of Chaos rule. And I'm like, over there though?
Yeah, I think you missed the target.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
I can't comprehend Semiraj's motivations. I do appreciate the efficiency with which she carried it out.
I know, it's pretty amazing.
It's kind of baller that she just was like, I see an empire, I kill the entire imperial family, boom, empire dead.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh.
Oh.
So, I mean, that's a pretty efficient approach to fascism, I guess, so...
Yeah, there is also just sort of like I know it's very horrific to have committed a massacre, but there is also something sort of gleeful in seeing one of the Forsaken actually do some big evil things in sort of just a way that's like, I'm a bad person who does bad things, and I don't necessarily need to have some sort of complicated Demandred-esque plan.
Yeah, Semiraj is like, what? Like, killing 20 people is hard? I can just do that.
Yeah.
Like, literally any time. I'll just show up, kill them, and then bam, the entire continent is in disarray. You know, it's a real Europe post-World War II situation. Yeah. And it's like, oh, you're right. Like, that is evil, but it is also efficient, and we don't usually see those two things together in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
And you know, like, it's the Shamshin. I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't really care. It's like being told a bunch of Hitler's inner circle got murdered. You want me to be upset about that?
Yeah, you'd be like, sweet.
Sick.
Okay.
Kill more of them while you're at it.
Bye. You know, anyway, so Surat's like, oh. And Semiraj is like, yeah, so, like, find Tuon, because she's the last princess or whatever, because of course we have to make Tuon not just the, like, heir apparent to the imperial throne, but, like, as soon as she gets back, she's gonna be the empress.
Yeah.
Gotta just totally eliminate all possible delays. So, Surat's like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Sweet.
Just like, whatever.
Boom, baby. We then move over to Pevera, who's in a meeting with the head of the Red Aja and another of, like, the sitters, and they're basically just talking about how they've received all this news from Kyrian and from the Aes Sedai who went to the Black Tower and got bonded, and they're basically like, yep, Aes Sedai got bonded at the Black Tower, and here we have a bunch of Aes Sedai who are, apparently now sworn to Randall Thor and also have been healed from stilling. Mm-hmm. And they're like, that can't be right. That's crazy. And the lady's like, I mean, Sashal told me herself. I don't know.
Yeah.
What? Why would she lie about that?
Yeah, it's also just like, I feel like we get this news every 300 pages.
It's so true. Like, it happened 4 books ago, and everyone's just like, the slow trickle down of information is not exciting at all.
No.
So we're just like, yeah. And, like, they're just like, yeah, it's only been 12 days since the cleansing of Sidon. And I'm like, Christ. It felt like so much longer than that.
It's been, like, 3 whole books or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
2 whole books.
But this lady, I can't remember her name, is like, so anyway, I just think you should move forward with the plan to go to the Black Tower and bond them as warders. So get on that, Pevera. Pevera's like, okay. She's, like, assigned to a gnarly group project with this other lady. And Pevera's like, I'm gonna have to do all the work. And I'm like, yeah, it's what group projects are, bestie. But Pevera then goes to meet Yukiri, one of the other Black Aja hunters, who tells her, like, yeah, the latest Black Aja lady we found is another dead end, because they all only know a couple of others, and blah, 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 blah. And we've had to hide Talene, who's the first lady they found, because she's been summoned by the Imperial Death March or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to interrogate her, so we hid her in the basement. Like, these people aren't magic. Like, they can't find people in the basement.
Yeah.
But they're like, okay, yeah, well, that's that. And, Pevera's like, why don't we just go to this big meeting and just, like, kick some ass? And Yukiri's like, 'cause we die. And Pevera's like, yeah, okay, fair point.
This sign can't stop me because I can't read.
I can't read. Pevera just really wants to, like, do some violence.
Yeah.
So I'm sad that she's just sort of trapped here in the bureaucracy for now.
Yeah, I think she'd be another Wheel of Time character I would nominate to have a gun.
Yeah, give Pevera a gun.
Yeah.
See what she does with it. All right. They are then met by either Cian or Saren. I can't keep track of them. One of the S names. The girl who was originally given this task by Aleda, who comes up to them and is like, guys, Aleda just asked me how it was going with my, like, looking for proof that Alviarin is a traitor. And they're like, what? And she's like, I swear to God, she was not specific in the beginning. So they're like, oh, okay, well, I mean, that means Aleda could be Black Aja. We've been operating under the illusion that she couldn't be, because she was the one who assigned us this, but, oh, actually, she really could be. So they're just, like, in this awkward position now.
Like, well, we thought the one thing that would protect us from torturing and imprisoning women in the basement was the fact that the Amyrlin ordered us to torture and imprison women in the basement.
And now it turns out we've just been doing that.
We've just been, like, doing that? Oh, no.
Get everything in writing, people.
Yeah.
Instructions from your boss, have them write them down.
Yeah.
Be like, I can't possibly remember unless you write them down for me.
That's the EHR hot tip.
God.
Everything in writing. Bring it back to my mother, as she says, if you didn't document it, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So.
Aleda's... Oh, you
What
dummies.
do you think her face was, Serene or Saren or whatever, as she got that news? Do you think she just was like, keep a straight face, keep a straight face, keep a straight face?
I think she was holding a glass and it shattered. She was just like, what the fuck?
The Wheel of Time TV show really should be a comedy.
I know. I could make it a comedy so easily.
I know. There are some pretty...
Just have, like, one character who's constantly breaking the fourth wall.
Gall, apparently.
And just do it documentary style.
Yeah.
Just constantly.
What We Do in the Shadows-esque.
Yeah. Have them
Constantly.
being interviewed constantly.
Yeah. Confessional time.
Exactly. That's when all of the dark friend things would be. You know, it would be like confessional time. Valda would be like, I did not do anything to your mother. And then we'd switch to confessional time and he'd be like, I totally fucking did.
Yeah.
I did crimes.
I did crimes.
So anyway, guys, that's the first 4 action-packed scenes of Knife of Dreams. I mean, 2 of them actually were action-packed.
Yeah, 2 of
The
them
other
were
2
very
just
good.
kind of like, aren't women stupid? You know, the
Yeah.
usual.
I mean, 3 out of 4 were pretty solid. I like being with Pevera. I think she's a fun character, even though her plot becomes increasingly more convoluted and ridiculous.
Who knows what's going on?
And I like being with a 2-year-old, and I like watching rapists die, so...
No, we can at least get behind that.
Yeah.
You go, Galad.
You go, Galad.
You go.
Galahad.
Let's go, lesbians.
Let's go, lesbians.
So that's that.
That is that. Welcome to Knife of Dreams.
Welcome to Knife of Dreams. Next time, as previously stated, we will be with Galena, Alviarin briefly, and Egg. Okay, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Glenna Mackenzie for our theme song. Thanks to our patrons on Patreon and our followers on social media.
At this point, all of the Knife of Dreams stuff is up on our website, so if you want to read along with us, our reading schedule is up there, as well as that is always a great resource to listen to the podcast if you're having any trouble on your podcast listening apps or whatever. You can find all of our transcripts there. Oh, did you finally realize that that's quite warm?
It's the heating pad.
It's the heating pad. I put it out specifically for you. So there's lots of stuff you can find on our website. It can be a good resource for you.
Yeah, check it out. Do you have a sign-off?
Oh, gosh. Do I? So many bad things happened yesterday.
Oh, jeez.
This is a cute one from my nephew, Declan. My mother called me earlier this week to say, I have something to relay to you from Declan. And I was like, oh, boy, howdy, what's this? She's like, Declan would like to invite you to a pumpkin carving extravaganza. It's like, ooh, an extravaganza. What does that entail? And she said, well, according to Declan, we will carve a pumpkin. And I was like, one pumpkin? And she's like, unclear.
Pumpkin. Extravaganza.
Unclear how many pumpkins.
It's a big pumpkin.
And she's like, also, we will be baking cupcakes. And I was like, okay, that sounds... Anything else? And she's like, no. End of extravaganza.
That's my idea of an extravaganza. Jeez.
It's pretty funny.
All right, everyone. Have a good week.
Go carve a pumpkin.
Bye.
Happy Halloween.